Well, and when it comes to AI, you talk about working within the confines.
Yeah.
You went down the path of building your own and using NVIDIA's AI factory model and kind of owning your own destiny. Is that something that you feel other leaders or other organizations should be exploring, and kind of what contributed to that?
Yeah. And for the record, we do both, right? So we have
Okay.
some cloud services we consume where the buy is materially better in terms of capability relative to the build, and that's fine. So we don't, but our primary focus is on build, and there's a couple of reasons for that. And I think different industries are going to have different combinations of demands that may produce a different answer. But I would start by saying building up your own environment affords you an opportunity to make in the grand scheme of things, a pretty small investment. You need the infrastructure and the switching and the storage and all the things that sort of go into that. It's not just buying a few GPUs and putting them in your data center, but right, what open source models make sense? What's your data fabric?
Yeah.
But we had a data fabric we were using, right? So we happen to be a Databricks shop. Snowflake is great, and you can use that as well. But once you have this ecosystem built mostly of things you have anyway, because you've organized it in a way, it affords you an opportunity to make incremental value without having significant additional cost.
Yeah.
I don't have to spend anything but labor to take a new LLM use case and apply it through an MLOps pipeline and push out new capability for one of my functions or one of my sectors. So because we did the upfront investment, and again, it was not material. I could spend 20 times what we spent on that AI farm with a major AI provider externally in a year.
Yeah.
So because we did that, we now have crisper opportunity for use case. And the nice thing about that is I'm not stressed about ROI because almost everything has ROI.
Yep.
And you hear a lot of folks in industry talking about, oh, I'm struggling to have ROI for my AI. If you dump 20, 30, 40 million dollars with a supplier, I get it. If your collaboration suite costs double because you're enabling AI at that level, I get it. Those are hard things to overcome. In fact, by the way, that kind of goes back to, can the system move at pace, right? Are people ready for that amount of change? Are your processes ready to take advantage of this? And that leads to another value contribution from this type of environment we built, is that we increment, right? So it's another use case, and we're doing these workshops with our peers and colleagues to say, hey, here's some use cases that worked in other industries. Do you think they would work for you? How do you perceive value? How do you perceive risk? What's your appetite for change? And in a short period of time, you can come up with some high value opportunities, and you can put them into an environment where you've already sunk the cost. It is in my opinion, it's a very effective way to look at AI.
Yeah.
And then we've got other use cases where it's so good to buy, it's worth the hurdle. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll spend the money. That's fine. But I've got a different ROI calculus when I'm going to go outside versus inside.
Yeah. I just thought it was a great perspective because we're not seeing a ton of organizations do that. I'll tell you in a moment what we are seeing a lot of happen. But it just reduces the risk for you in the organization, but allows for there to be a safe space of innovation. Because I think a lot of the innovation happens on what people are working on after 5 p.m. or on the weekends, or where they're able to test and play with those things that are just kind of on the periphery of what their day job is. And now you kind of have a safe space that you can do some of that with your own environment. So that's such an interesting take. And if people aren't looking at it, I think they probably should do the math and kind of compare and contrast building their own.
If I can add to that,
please.
one other thing I think, so we sort of categorize use of AI inside of Northrop Grumman as either enterprise AI, which is I enable the workers, or mission AI, which is sort of the agents we put in spacecraft or whatever it might be, right? The things we put in our products. And the company's been doing mission AI for a very long time. But we enable mission AI with an on-premise environment by giving them a safe sandbox to go explore and test things, right? So there's an additional benefit. And then you get into, well, what if you have an isolated environment, or you treat your OT, your operations environment, a lot of companies will secure their OT environments by isolating them. Okay, well, that's fine. But what if you want to have AI on those environments.
Yeah.
Now you get into containerization. Guess what I can do when I've got an on-premise environment? So it really affords you a lot of flexibility. And last thing I'll say about this, I think you want to make it as easy as possible for people to adopt.
Yeah.
At least at this stage in sort of the maturity arc. And so if I start stressing about ROI,
yeah.
the adoption hurdle becomes bigger, and we add more bureaucracy to a thing where we're saying, hey, we want people to explore and experiment. So
yeah,
absolutely right.
I think where we are in the kind of hype curve of it all, people need to be piloting, experimenting, and not really throwing all their eggs in one basket. And what we've seen more of is organizations say, you know what, I'm going to get Copilot for all, or we got ChatGPT, OpenAI, we licensed it for everybody. And a lot of those organizations that we work with and are speaking to, they're really seeing a struggle with adoption, right? They may be lucky to see even a third of weekly active users on those platforms. So I immediately say, yeah, you need to be more focused on identifying the opportunity. Where's the ROI? Kind of get back to those fundamentals of building the business case around it. And that should be how you strategize around AI instead of just Copilot for all. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. And we certainly looked at Copilot for all, or what, right? And came to that same conclusion. My comment earlier about systems and system capabilities, I think that's important. I don't think there's an ROI in making people write better emails or having something give me some perspective about the tone or whatever. I think, is there value in that? Sure. It's incremental value.
Yeah.
One of the concepts that I think is important for us to understand is, what is foundation and what is value? And foundation for me is, we built this system, we built this environment, you can use it, we can build on it. We have a data ecosystem, we can add more data to it. We have a data lake, and this is how we manage it. We have automation, and this is how we take advantage of it. But the value comes from the insight, from the actual process you were able to streamline. It comes from the use case you were able to implement. Enabling people to go to an AI system and explore it is not inherently creating value. It is building a foundation. You have a tool that you can take advantage of, but it misses the use case capability step that is so crucial to helping people evolve. Now, does it increase some adoption, some awareness? Sure, that's all goodness. And we at some point should get into citizen development conversations, because I got some opinions around that we can get into. That's another thing that people will talk about as a way to get their community aware and enabled. But I believe that just opening something up is foundation. It is not value, and you have to help people understand how to create value by changing their process and enabling that with AI. And that's the step that ends up missing when you just do the Copilot for all. It's not that Copilot's not a great tool. It is. It's a terrific tool, but it alone doesn't create the value.
Yeah, maybe more intentional, more thoughtful with how you
so.
look to enable.